Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to be making some Pioneer Woman cinnamon rolls. It's a really great recipe, so stay tuned. Alright, so to start off, we take a cup of vegetable oil, 2 cups of milk, and a cup of sugar. Put them in the pan. Stir it up really well. And we warm it up to just below a boil. So it's bubbling just a little bit, but it's not boiling. All right, so I'm going to say it's ready. We're going to sprinkle 1 packet of yeast on top. Let it sit for a minute. All right, the yeast is set on the milk, sugar, and oil mixture for a minute. Now we're going to add it to 4 cups of flour. Mix it really well. So this is going to be set aside, covered with a towel for 1 hour. All right, it'll be sitting for an hour. I'm back. I have a 1/2 cup of flour with a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, baking powder, and 1/2 tablespoon of salt. I'm going to be adding it to the flour that has been sitting there for an hour with the sugar, oil, and milk mixture. Alright, now that I've added that, I am going to assemble my cinnamon rolls. I'll be showing you how to do that. Alright, I've floured my counter and I'm going to put the dough right there on my flour counter. That you have cleaned and sanitized first, of course. Sure you got a little cup of flour aside. Flour those hands up good. A little bit more on top of the dough. Keep flouring as you go. Just going to want to knead it a little bit. We are going to press it out into a very large rectangle. You want it to be even all over. Right, I'm going to go get a couple of ingredients and go on to the next step. This is the butter that I'm going to be using today. I always like to use real butter, and the butter that is grass-fed cow butter is always better. All right, as you can see, I have melted my butter, and it's about half a cup there. Got my cinnamon and also some sugar in here. So we are going to pour this melted butter on the dough. Get my knife. Oops, we don't want it to roll off that dough there. We want it to be even everywhere. It's all right if some of it doesn't melt. Alright, so now we are going to sprinkle cinnamon and sugar everywhere. Lots and lots of cinnamon and sugar. For those of you counting, you can tell me how many spoonfuls I used. Now for the cinnamon. And I layer it on very thick. Want it covered well also. All right. Sugar out the way. So now we're going to take this end and we're going to just start rolling and tucking. And keep going back and forth. When we get to about here, I am going to flip this part over and then pinch it. So all that yumminess stays inside the dough. All right. Get a sharp knife here. My pans. Start cutting these into slices for the rolls. About an inch thick, I'd say. It's not staying together right that well right there. Okay, then I'm going to put the middle piece in the middle of the pan and start going around like this. All right, and I'm going to do the other pan. The same, use that end piece in the middle and go around the pan with the others. Okay. Now you see how they are. Now these are going to need to sit and rest and raise for a little while also. At least 30 minutes. We'll come check them back in about 30 minutes and see what they look like. Hey everybody. So they've raised a little, but not enough for me. So I'm going to let them raise for about 30 more minutes. Be back then. All right. I'm trying to laugh at my mistakes. But these cinnamon rolls were a flop tonight. They still taste great, but I'm gonna let you see what I did with them. They didn't raise as much as I wanted, but I went ahead and baked them. Now look. So these didn't turn out too bad. They actually look pretty good. I'm going to frost them. Now, before I move to the right, I'm gonna let you know I was taking these out the oven and they fell. So they fell onto the oven door, and I picked them up and put them back in the pan. Now look at these pretty mess. Well, they'll get frosted and they will stay at home for me and my son to eat. Anyways, let me get my homemade maple frosting out of the fridge I have made before, and we'll frost these. All right, y'all. I really do wish you could smell this frosting. It smells so wonderful. I had made it last time I made my cinnamon rolls, so this is leftover frosting. It does have powdered sugar and maple flavoring and milk and melted butter, brewed coffee, and salt in it. It is very yummy. So you just put them on when they're still warm. And it's going to melt in there in all those cracks. You know, sometimes things don't turn out the prettiest, but they still taste wonderful. That is the lesson we have to learn. All right. That middle one is always my favorite because it has the most frosting. But there we go. Thank you all for watching and have a great evening.